defensive and offensive lines, where you had, defensive line, you had the studs. You had Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne, and Matt Ioannidis, Tim Settle backing up there. You had to beef up the middle. And then offensively, on offensive line, you had Morgan Moses, you had Brandon Sheriff, you had Chase Roullier at the center. You did have a couple of question marks with Eric Flowers, and then the whole Trent Williams saga. But Donald Penn coming in, filling the role, as well as Jerron Christian. You do have the beef up front, and for some reason throughout most of the year, that beef is not played well at all, with the exception of against, again, Carolina. Here's Bill Callahan speaking about the offensive linemen, how they were able to basically impose their will on like we said in the previous segment, a strong and tough Carolina front.
By and large, the line played really good, and it was a function of being on the same page. I thought the management of the run game is another aspect of Dwayne's quarterbacking, putting the call in the right leverage or the right position, whether to leave it on or leave it off or change it or get to a pass. I think all those things came into play as well in terms of quarterbacking. And then the line itself, I mean, making the adjustments through the types of pressures that they presented or dog pressures that they presented on the early downs. I thought that the line handled that particularly well.
All right, so as you can see, Bill Callahan talking about the offensive line and what kind of how they were able to, again, like I said, impose their will against the Panthers' defensive front. Again, one that involves Gerald McCoy, a former number 1 pick, high-priced guy down there in Carolina, but it's good to see that the offensive line finally getting their credit. And I don't know exactly what has happened between the beginning of the season and just last week, but it was, what really is going on in Ashburn where these, maybe it was that talk that Bill Callahan had to the team prior to the Lions game. Maybe it was, he was upfront, personal, honest with a lot of the players, from what we're hearing, and that, he told a lot of guys exactly what they are worth, what they're doing. And a lot of them didn't like what Bill Callahan and some of the coaches had to say. And they looked in the mirror and said, okay, well, we got to do something, that's what you want to hear. You want to see guys stepping up to the plate, and they have stepped up to the plate over the past 2 games. So one other question I wanted to pose out there to the world was that, with the run game, and you saw what it was like to have a healthy Darius Geis, a healthy Adrian Peterson, and I would say at this point, a healthy Chris Thompson. Finally, those 3 guys on the field for the first time, healthy, and you saw what they could do against the Panthers. So why on earth, in week 1, was Jay Gruden so prudent in basically not dressing Adrian Peterson and starting Darius Geis? You knew, and everybody could tell you, Nick, you laid your eyes on Darius Geis in the preseason. You saw he had a little bit of hitch in his giddy up. He did not quite look right. And it's sort of like, well, why would you not want to ease him in as far as a workload was concerned? Instead, you just gave him the ball 20 plus times against the Eagles, and then he ended up hurt and he was out for the half the season.
Yep.
Number 1. Number 2, you embarrassed Adrian Peterson. You embarrassed him. So why on earth would Jay Gruden do that? I think that's still a question that maybe that's why he's not here anymore. Nobody truly knows the answer to that question. So that's also one question I wanted to pose out there to all of you. What do you think? What do you believe was his reasoning behind that? And are you finally excited to see those 3 on the field at once, or at least in the same game? Not at once, because if we were to ever run a 3 running back set, I mean, I wouldn't hate it. It would be something that the NFL has seen before. I don't remember seeing something like that. I mean, think about the possibilities. I've always been for, running the 3 tight ends. You had Sprinkle, Reed, and Vernon Davis. Why not? That means the defense has to bring on a whole bunch of linebackers. Those guys can be linebackers. And so can
Jordan Reed can do what he's done best, which is run routes instead of blocking. Let Davis and Sprinkle block.
Just let him beat the linebacker.
Yep.
If the defense wants to throw a safety on him, then at that point you can run a screen and have Jordan Reed at least get in somebody's way. You don't even have to block. All you have to do is just kind of stand in front of somebody.
Take up space.
Just take up space. Just don't let him run to point B. That's all you got to do. So I would. Why not see a 3 running back set for the Redskins? Why not? You never know what's going to happen. I think, maybe Dwayne Haskins run one of those wing T options, one of those 1950 New Rockney sort of plays. I mean, why not? You never know. All right, so, again, the offensive line was really good. Also, are you finally buying into Dwayne Haskins as the future of this Washington Redskins team? Want to know that? Hit us up on DMVSTREAM.com's Facebook page, as well as on Twitter, DMVStream.com, or on my Twitter as well, at Sports Talk NC8. Also wanted to know this question. We're putting all our questions out there. Would you truly be upset? Would you be, crazy mad if Bill Callahan were the coach of the Redskins next year? I guess I know one answer. Like, what? What kind of craziness is Winston talking about? No, seriously. Look, you see this team is 3-4 under him. You got 3 wins. You got Dolphins. Okay, let's not. Even though the Dolphins did beat the Eagles, we'll talk about that a little bit, in a couple of minutes. But you have 3 wins: Dolphins, Lions, as well as the Panthers. So why not? This team has shown improvement. Dwayne Haskins is showing improvement underneath Bill Callahan and Kevin O'Connell. If you were to take Callahan away and this coaching staff, whoever the next coach is, probably going to bring in all his new people, and then Dwayne is going to have to relearn a new offensive system. He's going to have to learn new vocabulary and the whole 9. So why not keep Coach Cal?
For me, I just think nothing against Coach Callahan, but, I mean, he's had his time. I mean, he's been a head coach 2 separate times. I mean, a little bit of success in Oakland, not as much in his other stint. And I think he's a great offensive line coach, the perfect interim guy. But for me, you really just have to find a guy you can tie Dwayne Haskins to at the hip, much like Kyle Shanahan, Jimmy Garoppolo, much like what we thought Sean McVay, Jared Goff. But we see maybe that isn't the way to go. Seen some of these defensive guys do well recently as head coaches. So it'd be interesting to see. But for me, I just think you got to go with either O'Connell or another offensive guy.
Whew. Yeah, look how Jared Goff is looking now.
Right.
And you try to tie him to Sean McVay, which is, I mean, look, you could probably go with that, 9 out of 10 times. It just so happens that this season is that 1 out of 10. Okay, so be it. Either way, I don't know. I mean, like I said, look what happened to a quarterback like Jason Campbell. Talented, but he had to go through 19 systems in 1 year. Like, what are you going to do with that? You want to have your number 15 pick go through that many offenses. I'm not saying that the Redskins are going to be in the same predicament in another 3 years, but you never know with Dan Snyder and the Redskins and how this team is going to perform underneath a new head coach. You don't know what's going to happen. So why not have Coach Cal have that continuity going into next year? Now, I will say this caveat, and a lot of people are going to be like, Winston, why do you want Coach Cal to even stay on with the Redskins? I am just saying, why not keep Coach Cal and possibly have a new president of football operations or whatever guy's title is. And everybody out there knows exactly who we're talking about.
Yeah. The problem is, though, when have you ever heard of a GM come in or a president and then not hire his own guy? Never.
The Wizards.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Right down the street.
Right down the street. That's NBA. Totally different. In any event, but you never know. I don't know the answer to it, and the only one person that could really have, decide that is Dan Snyder. So we'll see exactly what he chooses to do coming up, into the offseason. All right, let's go around the NFL. Big, huge game. Got another question for everybody. That's 4 questions already in the span of like 5 minutes. Are you switching your attention to the Ravens? I know there are hardcore Redskins fans out there, but, and I think I posed this last week. Look, Baltimore, we have nothing against you. I love Baltimore. Love the Orioles. Love the Ann Arbor. Love the state of Maryland. Love the food. Not only the food, I love Baltimore. I love Baltimore people. There's nothing. Look, Baltimore, not like somebody said is, whatever. But Baltimore is a great city, okay? I have nothing against you, but for some reason, a lot of people in Baltimore don't like DC, and that's fine. I can't make you love me. It is what it is. But Redskins fans, are you, turning your attention, at least some of your real football interests, as far as this season is concerned, to the Ravens? Because they have a couple. They're a great team right now. They ended up winning against the 49ers, last second field goal, Justin Tucker. Huge. It was a great game. It was a good game. Yes, it was on at the same time as the Redskins. And matter of fact, the ratings showed that a lot more people in the D.C. area, in D.C., not just, Howard County, which is already up there, Anne Arundel, already in Maryland. In D.C., more than almost 2-1 were watching the Ravens game at the same time as the Redskins game. Almost 2-1. Almost 2-1.
It was the best game of the weekend, too, Baltimore.
It was a great matchup. The Redskins were playing the Panthers. If it were the Cowboys, maybe okay. Or the Giants. Or no, not the Giants. The Eagles.
Or what? The Ravens were playing the Bengals, it wouldn't have been as much. But they were playing the Niners.
Exactly. They were playing the Niners. Both teams, 3 losses between them. So it was, it was a great game. It was a good game to watch. You got 2 eyes. You can watch 2 TV screens. It's fine. All right. More around the NFL. Falcons end up recovering 3 onside kicks in the matter of 2 minutes and still lose to the Saints. The Falcons are who they are. They had a 2-game winning streak, which ended up saving Dan Quinn's job, but, we'll see what happens at the end of the season. You got to look, Redskins fans, at some of these teams and these coaches that are on the hot seat. Would you want any of them? Would you want any of them? Ron Rivera already fired from Carolina. Would you bring him in next year in the burgundy and gold? Yeah. Steelers get revenge on the Browns. I don't even know who started at quarterback for the Steelers, but they ended up winning. Get this. Steelers are 6-1 since, Dan Snyder really wants to bring in Mike Tomlin.
He started coaching his butt off. He said, I'm not going anywhere near Washington.
I'm not dealing with D.C. I will come visit my son. I'm not dealing with you people down here inside the Beltway. All right, do what you do, Mike Tomlin.
He just won, with Duck Hodges. Devlin Hodges was the name of the quarterback.
Yeah, Duck. Howard the Duck. And if anybody remembers that movie, at me, SportsTalk.ca. Give me thumbs up or thumbs down on that movie. All right, Rams get back to winning. Speaking of Sean McVay and Jared Goff, defense actually played a lot better in that game. Even, they were playing the Cardinals. Jared Goff, they actually bounced back to what the Rams have been, and that is a, strong defensive team as well as with good offense and running the ball. Again, Dolphins beat the Eagles. Okay, sure. Ryan Fitzmagic, he's good for at least like 3 wins in an NFL season. But he's also good for about 6 losses. And it just so happens that he got one of those 3 wins against the Eagles this past weekend, since he gets its first win. So, look, this is great, okay? You had Miami win. You had Cincinnati win. All in all, that means, guess what? If these teams, the Bengals and the Dolphins went out, and the Redskins went out, guess what? We're not that bad as far as draft positioning is concerned. It only gets better. You just don't want the Redskins to lose. I'm just saying. And, sure, draft position is one thing, but you want to end the season on a high note with some of these young guys that are going to come back to this team. So you want that morale to be pretty good and a winning culture. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot. They have a damn good culture, according to some. And the Texans finally get a win against the Pats. Sure, that's great. Tom Brady did not look good. He was pleading with some of his receivers, man, you got to get faster.
Like that could happen suddenly.
I want to get faster, bro. If I could get faster, look, Tom, you can throw him. I can catch. I can catch, but I'm not fast. And those guys aren't just going to get faster. He's made a living over the past several seasons with throwing guys open, and he can't throw guys open anymore because, he's 95 years old. It's okay. It's all right. All right, we're running short on time. We're going to go right into other DC area sports. Look, the Caps trade Chandler Stevenson to the Vegas Golden Knights. Stevenson reunited with George McPhee, who drafted him with the Capitals. That's great and all, but it just meant that you had another guy from that championship run that's now gone. You had Smith Pelly, you had Connolly is gone, not Justin Williams. You had a lot of guys that were with that. Jay Beagle, a lot of guys that were on that special team that are now gone, and I mean, that's the business of sports. The Nationals are about to find it out. Hopefully, not the hard way.
Not the hard. Oh,
hopefully,
God.
not the hard way. We'll talk about that in a second. But Stevenson had that crucial goal in the Tampa Bay Lightning series. Ended up hustling down in order to for the puck not to be iced, and ended up passing a DSP, who ended up scoring a goal in Game 6. So that was very huge. So, kudos and happy trails to Chandler Stevenson. Basically, the Caps couldn't do anything with him.
Yep.
They needed the roster space.
Yeah, some people maybe wanted a player back, but I think, like you said, they needed the roster space, and then they get a draft pick. I mean, that's kind of much the best you can do with the situation they were in.
Yeah, apparently, rumors are that they were gonna release him anyway. So, they got something back from him. They're gonna need young players. Obviously, Ovi's not Tom Brady old, but he's getting up there as far as hockey age is concerned. So it's all right. Caps on the West Coast now. They had a game last night against the San Jose Sharks. Gudas got elbowed by Evander Kane. Yeah. I mean, he didn't. Remind me, did he get suspended? I think he only got a fine.
He got a fine and a game misconduct.
Fine and game misconduct. Apparently, he threw a nasty elbow.
Ovechkin went after him after, so it was pretty nasty.
Yeah. So what's funny is that Caps Twitter was in awe about that elbow. I can see why. It was not a clean hit. Let's just say that.
And I think they're in awe because if that was Tom Wilson, he would have gotten a couple games.
Oh, he would. Oh man, you would have had to mail. You would have had to mail him everything that you wanted to get to him. So bad. So Caps. They play the Kings again tonight. So hopefully they have a good West Coast trip. They historically have not done well on West Coast trips. They normally stumble a couple of times. So hopefully they can come back. Again, like we alluded to with the Capitals, they're starting to shed pieces from that championship run. Big time for Anthony Rendon and Steven Strasburg. Both guys have met with several teams. Reportedly today, Steven Strasburg met with the Yankees. Nobody wants to see that, especially an Orioles fan. Look, again, Jeffrey Mayer. If it weren't for that little kid stealing that home run ball from Tony Tarasco, we would not know who Mariano Rivera is, or Derek Jeter, or what have you. Just saying. I'm just saying, I put that out there. Anyway, so, we'll see exactly what happens with Strasburg and Rendon. Rendon reportedly met with the Texas Rangers. That is looking more and more like
and the Dodgers.
And the Dodgers, but it's looking more and more like the Rangers are serious players as far as Rendon is concerned. Hopefully the Nationals can find a way, muster up a couple of dollars. I'm sure there are a couple of Nats fans that would be willing to put in $20 into a hat and make sure that he gets paid and not have the team to pay the luxury tax. Even though, look, there's a lot of money coming the Nationals' way after winning the World Series. I mean, teams get a whole buku boatload of cash for winning the World Series. So, they theoretically could have more money to offer him, as well as the massive money that should be coming in as well. So, the Lerners might have a little bit more extra change this offseason than they did in last year concerning Bryce Harper. But I guess the question is that if Rendon does leave, who plays third? Your infield's already kind of shot because the only infielder that you really honestly have is Trey Turner. That's it. And the team offered him a tender, Michael A. Taylor, and Ronis Elias, who they ended up trading, before the trade deadline last year. But your only infielder is, again, it's Trey Turner. Okay, all right. I'm just saying. Where do you go from there if Rendon ends up leaving? So we'll see exactly with that. All right. So the Wizards, they can score 180 points a game. But when you give up 200 points, it's not going to work, bro. It's not going to work. The team does not play good defense. And apparently, this team could be one of the worst defensive teams of all time in the NBA. Ever. Remember a couple of seasons ago where the Redskins were like the worst defense in the league as far as third downs were concerned? Like, all-time bad? That's how the Wizards are this year. All-time bad on defense. And that's why they could end up like that. They might be, top 4 offensive teams, but like I said, if you're giving up 200 points, there's really no point in you scoring. This is the Wizards defense. I hope they miss. You can't, that's not kind of the way you play defense. That's how they've gotten their wins. A lot of teams, have a lower field goal percentage against the Wizards than they normally do shoot. So in any event, hopefully they can figure out something, because the way that they're working now, not really working out too well. What's the jury on Rui Hachimura? Good, bad?
Yeah, for me, I think it's just average. I mean, it has to a little bit because of the spot he was picked in. You can't expect too much since it was only 8. But for me, it's just been about average. Has some good games, has some bad games, which you expect with the rookie. But for me, I just really think, he's getting so much of the play time when it's not that many veterans out there. This is your time to really kind of learn and shine on the go. So he has to be a vastly improved player by the end of the year, in my mind.
Absolutely. I think the same with Troy Brown. This was a show improved year for him, and he's finally getting playing time. But, look, these guys, if you're, like for Hachimura, you got to be putting up at least 12, 13 points a game. And getting 15 points a game, maybe 8 rebounds. You got to be doing something like that, and it's got to be consistent. You got to be. It can't be like 20 and 10, and then all of a sudden you have like 4 points and like 5 rebounds. That's not gonna work. It's got to be an every night thing, and that hopefully they are working towards that with the Wizards. He and Bertans and Isaiah, some of the guys that Tommy Shepard had brought in. Look, this is. Basically, let's call it for what it is. It's a lost season for the Wizards. Yep. The players might not think so, and that's good that they don't. But, if you're going to pay your money to go down to Capital One to watch a Wizards game, God bless you. Thank you very much for, keeping some of the seats warm.
Choose a good opponent when you go.
Well, you will pay a pretty penny for those opponents. All right, so getting back to what we talked about in the first block, in the first segment about the Georgetown Hoyas and some of the things that have gone on over there. Just getting a statement from head coach Patrick Ewing. Georgetown, this is quote, Georgetown basketball has not been in the news this week, and not for the reasons we want to be. First, 2 of our players, James Akinjo and Josh LeBlanc, have expressed interest in transferring from the university and are no longer with the team. I wish them well in their future endeavors. So basically what had come out earlier this week is that both players were kicked off the team. It turns out that both players are going to go into the transfer portal, and they're basically wishing them well. Going back to Ewing's statement, earlier this week, you may have read about allegations against 3 members of our team. While I can't comment on the individual students, please know that we take conduct issues very seriously and that our players are subject to the same disciplinary policies and procedures contained in the code of conduct that apply to any undergraduate and graduate student. Basically, and he goes on to say that he's not going to answer any more questions about this, just talk about Georgetown basketball, and that he expects more from some of his players. Basically, there was an incident, and there was some legal issues as far as some of the players were concerned, including Josh LeBlanc, not James Akinjo, who, from some sources that have told me that apparently Akinjo was going to transfer anyway before all of this happened, but apparently this was a catalyst as far as him transferring. But there was some legal issues as far as Josh LeBlanc was concerned, as Galen Alexander and Myron Gardner. They were tied to a restraining order. Now, mind you, LeBlanc was suspended for the first game of the season. Not really sure whether or not that was the reason why. But November 20th, all of the legal documents were filed with courts in D.C. So there's still a lot to be uncovered with this story. There was some allegations about Josh LeBlanc and being, having alleged violence against women. That was, some of the statements from some of the people in the legal documents. I don't know that for sure, but, there's a lot to be uncovered in this thing. We'll have to watch this, unravel. But ugly situation for Georgetown basketball. Just as you thought Patrick Ewing was getting the ship right, two of his best players are, leaving the coop. As of right now, they actually are leading, in Oklahoma State. But, Georgetown still has Mac McClung. They still have Yurt-7. They still have Jamarco Pickett, which, he's a talented fellow. He's got to put it into another gear. So hopefully it's a good time for Georgetown basketball. They can, rebound from this and go on, hopefully, to the first tournament under Patrick Ewing. And Maryland, hey, what do you know? Top 3 in the nation. Right now they're leading Notre Dame, another not ranked team, but they're 6-1. So Maryland actually playing really well, just starting the second half. So we'll see exactly what happens with them. But it was I think they're deserving a number 3 seed. After winning the Orlando Invitational Tournament, I mean, they kind of dismantled Marquette. They held Jordan Howard to, definitely below his season average.
Marcus Howard,
thank you. Jordan Howard.
Running back for the Eagles.
There you go. Thank you very much. See, there we go. Old age. Tell you, it's a bad thing. All right, so back to the Redskins. Look, what were we talking about earlier in the show? Sacks. How many sacks does the Redskins need to have against the Green Bay Packers? How many times do they have to shut down Aaron Rodgers? I asked John Bostic today, about trying to contain Aaron Rodgers. He said, you can't really stop him. Like you said, you can only contain him. Those are his words. And I'm like, yeah, that sounds about right. You can only hope to contain him. That old ESPN quote. It's so funny. All right, so keys to this game. Feed Geis, feed AP. You're going to have a running game in Lambeau Field. You got to keep the ball out of Dwayne Haskins' hands and have the running game do exactly what they did against Carolina. Just ground and pound. Take up time of possession. Keep the ball out of Aaron Rodgers' hands. Because if you give him time, he's going to rip them apart. So hopefully they can do that. And defensively, we talked about it earlier. Sacks. How many sacks does this team need to have against Aaron Rodgers in order to win a game? I'm gonna up it this week. I'm gonna say 7.
Usual, I would say.
I'm gonna say about 7 because Aaron Rodgers can get sacked 10 times and he could still throw for 500 yards. It's not really gonna matter. So 7 sacks for the Redskins if they want to win this game.
And don't let him get away because he's so good at buying time and avoiding sacks. You cannot let him get away if you have an opportunity.
I asked John Bostic the same thing. I said, how do you coach against the guy that's so good at extending plays? Just said you got to stay in your lanes. Stay in your lane, homie. Yes, that's exactly what he said. So 7 sacks for the Redskins in order to win. All right, we are up against the clock. We cannot do any more overtime. We're about to get shut off here at DMVSTREAM.COM studios. But thank everybody for watching. Again, you can watch each and every archived episode of Redskins Relaunch right here on DMVSTREAM.COM. We are on all sorts of platforms: Twitter, Facebook, Tinder, Twitter, all over the place. LinkedIn, Instagrams. What else is there? Snapchat. I was about to say Chat. Yeah, you don't want to do that. Yeah, don't. That's a different show for another time. All right, so with that, exactly. That actually was the first month of the season. Chat. All right, so with that said, let's get out of here. Thank you to Nick. Thank you everybody for watching. Again, leave us your comments on DMVStream.com's page as well as on our Facebook page. You can hit me up on Twitter, DMVStream.com, or on my Twitter page at Sports Talk NC8. With that said, I'm Winston Hylton. Thank you, everybody, for watching, and we'll see you again here next week, hopefully talking about another win. 3 in a row? Can we make it 3 in a row? I don't know. Hopefully we can, or the Redskins can. We'll see what happens.
This content is brought to you by Dental Associates. For more than 39 years, Dr. Stephen Price has been practicing dentistry in Northern Virginia. A member of the American Dental Association, the Northern Virginia Dental Society, and the Virginia Dental Society, Price is considered an expert in Invisalign and continues to be an award-winning innovator in the industry.